Jai Swaminarayan. Welcome to our e-learning classroom. Today we learn figures of speech in English grammar. First we see what we say figures of speech. A figure of speech is a total change from the ordinary form of expression or the ordinary course of ideas to make a greater effect. We know that figure of speech we can use in poem or poet used to make poetry. Why they use figure of speech? Because they want to show their poetry more effective and they want to show expression in it. That's why they use different types of figure in their poetry. So here the definition of figure of speech you can see and understand what is figure of speech. Now we learn some different figures. And yes, of course, already you learned that things in our poems. I explained some figures in our 2 poems also. Except those all, I explained today some different kinds of figure. Let's see this first, simile. What we can say simile here? Look at. When a direct comparison is made between 2 objects of different kinds which have at least one point in common, it is called simile. Direct comparison, at that time we use between 2 objects. So we know that when comparison is there, at that time we use simile and the 2 different objects we can compare and one point is common in that 2 comparison object. Look at some example. And yes, of course, you can identify this figure with some words. We use as, like and so to make a simile. Means in this kind of figure, we use these 3 words to compare the objects. Look at 2 examples here. Life is like a journey. So here life compare with journey. Life is like a journey. This is the comparison between life and journey. Journey is also going on and our life is also going on. So this is the common things between that 2. The next example, at the time they use here different word. In first we use like and the second example here we use as and as. Not all the time we use as and as too, but sometimes we use only as is also possible. As clear as crystal. So here clear and crystal. So clear like crystal. Transparent. That is the example of simile. And we use for making comparison. And some other figures are also here to use for comparison. Then now we go ahead. Second number is personification. Let's see this. When abstract ideas are spoken of as having life, it becomes personification. So here personification figure, how we can use or what we can say, abstract idea which is spoken like a life, or if it is spoken or it shows us like a life or like alive, which actually not alive but they shows here. Example is a ghost of time to rise. So here which thing is personified or which point? That is time. Time is here personified. That means a ghost of time. So time is personified by using some words. Then next example, laughter holding both her sides. So both her sides. So laughter is personified here. Laughter is abstract but it shows here like a life. It can do something. As the same time is also abstract here. No one can see it but you can feel it. That things shows here lie. Then number 3, tautology. When different words of the same meaning are used, it is called tautology. What is, we can say, tautology? Different kinds of words, but meaning is same. Word is different, meaning is same. Look at the example, you can understand well. At some old ancient inn. Inn means here restaurant. So they use here two words, old and ancient. Two words meaning are same, but still they use two words. That time we can say it is tautology figure the poet applied. The second example is here, quaint and curious. War is. So quaint and curious both mean the same thing here. Both meaning is same. Still here we use two words for showing same meaning. At that time we can say tautology is applied. Now number 4, anastrophe. We can say in other word also inversion. When the proper order is changed, to shoot poetic effect, it is called anastrophe. The proper order is subject plus verb plus object plus rest of the sentence. Why? What is it said? That proper order of sentence is subject, verb, object. But to show some poetic effect, poet do not follow proper order. They can make it in different order also. Why they use some words in different order? Because to show its effect, or to show effective, or to show some proper charm of that words. That why they do not follow the proper order of the sentence. Look at the examples. False was the hand that raised the chain. Now the proper order we can say the hands was false that raised the chain. But here they change the words. False was the hands. So this kind of thing shows some different charms and different effect on the readers. Number 2, barren are those mountains. Here also the same, those mountains and barren. Change here, those mountains are barren. This is the easier things, but they use in different way, changing its order. At that time we use anastrophe, or we can say this is anastrophe figure. Then next go ahead. Number 5, epigram. Epigram is also kind of some contrast things here. Look at the definition. When certain sayings are used frequently to introducing antithetical ideas. Antithetical ideas means contrast type of opposite types of ideas which excite, surprise and arrest attention. So that antithetical ideas, what they shows, that idea shows or involved with it, excite, surprise and arrest readers' attention. At that time we can say it is called epigram. Now look at the example of this figure. Fools rush in where angels fears to tread. So fools and here angel. Look, fools go where angels fear to go. So this is antithetical ideas and also arrest some attention of readers and like a sayings also. The number 2, he makes no friend who never made a foe. This is also, if you have no, if person never make friend, if they have no foe. Foe means here enemy. आपका कोई enemy नहीं होगा तो आपको पता नहीं चलेगा कि आपका friend कौन है. तो उसका ही फ्रेंड हो सकता है जिसका कोई एनिमी होता है. दिस इज ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ सेइंग्स and some antithetical ideas or contrast. At that time, use epigram. The next figure is also here, euphemism. Euphemism is when unpleasant facts are presented in a pleasant form. Means poet shows something unpleasant things, but not directly unpleasant. They show is in pleasant way. So it cannot look bad or it cannot look indifferent. They show it differently or in pleasant way. If there is something sorrowful things inside, still they show it in a happy way. That time that is called euphemism. Look the examples. He has fallen asleep. That doesn't mean he falls asleep, but it means he is dead. At that time, not used directly that he is dead, but use fallen asleep. Number 2, he is telling fairy tale. Here is also said that fairy tales, telling. This shows that not saying something wrong or not saying something different, something wrong, not good, or which is not right, or like a gossiping. But here they use fairy tale, which shows in a good way or in a pleasant way, and there shows fact inside it, but in pleasant way. The next example, he is no more. So this sentence is also shows like first, he is dead. This kind of example or this kind of things you can source by using this figure. Now next, number 7, irony. When the real meaning is exactly the opposite of that which as literally conveyed, means which is literally written or conveyed in front of you, that is exactly different from reality, or it is different from reality which is in front of you. It is called irony. At that time you can say it is irony figure applied. Look the example, my foe of course he was. So here this my foe of course he was. So this is the irony here. Then faithful of course she lived. So this is also kind of irony which is different from reality, and literally it is conveyed different, and the expression or which is showed here meaning that is also different. The next figure, onomatopoeia. When the sound of the syllable brings out the meaning clearly, or when a word is self-explanatory, it is called onomatopoeia. What it said us? That sound of the syllables brings out the meaning, or you can bring out the meaning of that word with only sound or with that syllables which you heard from that sound, and is self-explanatory. That sound of that syllables is self-explanatory. At that time you can use onomatopoeia. So we can say that the sound explain itself, or we can use the word of the sound. That time we can use this figure. Look at the examples of it. The slow repeated tap. The sound of tapping is echo in the syllable. So here the sound of tapping you can see by this word tap. The slow repeated tap that shows the syllables of the sound of tapping. Next, the quick sharp scratch. So here the sound of scratch is self-explanatory. So that means the sound of scratch we see after it, but the sound of scratch which you heard by it, that is here onomatopoeia. So it is shows a sound. You can identify with it sound. So the scratch sound, that is the main here. Then next, Oxymoron. Oxymoron shows us contradiction or opposite form. Like sharp, dull. It shows us completely sharp, dull things. Look at it. When two contradictory qualities are predicted at once of the same thing, it is called oxymoron. It is a special form of antithesis. Antithesis also you learned in further videos, that it is a contradictory form, shows us oppositions as the same. This is the another form. But antithesis shows opposite ideas. But oxymoron is more than it. Shows contradict, but more than that. It is a sharp, dull form of it. That's why special kind of form. Here we can say that many figures for comparisons and many of figures we can use for contradicts. So this is one of them, contradictory form. Example, in my own company. So here my own is adjectival phrase. Adjectival phrase explain the noun company here. So they use this phrase for this noun company. My own. The same things but they use for making its contraries. We can use in own company but in my own company. Then next, he was the wisest fool. Wisest and fool. So wise and fool, that is opposite things here or opposite word. But still this shows the quality of fool by using the word wise or wisest kind of fool here. So two contradictory word here. The next example is terrific beauty. Terrific thing is different, beauty is different, but the beauty which is very terrific beauty. So here you can see contradictory words in this example. Next, the figure transfer epithet. When a epithet means here adjective is transferred from its proper word to another that is closely associated with it in the sentence. It is called transfer epithet. Epithet means here adjective and transfer. You can change its place to its proper place or you can use in another place instead of its proper place. At that time we can say it is transfer epithet. Example you can see, she passed a sleepless night. So here they use a sleepless night. So they use here epithet in front of the word night. That means they transfer the epithet here in the different word or in the different place. That example means she cannot sleep the whole night. That is, she passed sleepless night. Then the another example is a pilgrim going along highway. That means here along, that is adjective. Look, the adjective lawn is applicable to the pilgrim but is applied to the highway. So here the lonely pilgrim going highway. That means here they use alone in place of pilgrim. They use here for highway. That means pilgrim is alone going. But this shows that the highway is lone. No one is on that place or no person on that highway in place of the only person pilgrim. So the adjective is changed in its place. That's why we applied that transfer epithet. Or you cannot use in any place or any way. You have to check it and closely associated with the word. उसको आपको closely associated हो, connected हो, वहाँ use करना है. जहाँ चाहो वहाँ use नहीं कर सकते हैं. That's why look the example and the definition properly for that. Go ahead, the next figure here, litotes. When an affirmative is conveyed by negation of the opposite. The effect being to suggest a strong expression by means of a weaker. It is called litotes. Look at it. Affirmative is conveyed by negation. Means affirmative things you use in a negation way, in a weaker way. Then you can say that the effect being suggests a strong expression by means of a weaker. So if there is weaker expression or weak things, you express in a strong way. If it is weak, still you can express in a strong way. At that time, this figure is connected. Look the example. The boy is no fool. So means the boy is very clever. In place of this, they show here negative, no fool. This thing shows us that boy is clever. So they show affirmative by using negation. She is not a little worried. So little is also here not little. That is also negative form. That means she is greatly worried. So these things is affirmative. This shows us using negation. That's why this litotes figure is applied here. Carefully, look at carefully its explanation, its definition and example. You can understand it. Now go ahead. Next, periphrasis. When a simple thing is introduced in a round about way, it is called periphrasis. Means simple things you can show in a round way. You can define or you can show it in a simple way, but still you can show in a round way. Like the answer is in the affirmative instead of yes. So you can use yes, that is good, short and complete. But still you can show it in a round way, like the answer is in the affirmative. As the same, the answer is in the negative instead of no. The another example is the conquer of the Antarctic instead of Captain Scott. So who won that Antarctic? Conquer means here winner. So they use here conquer of the Antarctic instead of the name of that person, Captain Scott. Okay, so friends, we learn different figures in this video. You can use it. If any question, any query, you can comment on it. We will see you in our next video. Thank you.